Friends, thank you for being here today. What if I told you that the most explosive opportunity in the financial world right now is the one that looks the most boring, the most outdated, and the most ignored? And what if the very silence surrounding this asset is not a sign of its death, but the loudest warning signal of a coming wealth transfer that only the patient are positioned to catch? We live in a world that is addicted to noise. We are surrounded by a culture that equates volume with value, believing that if something isn't making headlines, trending on social media, or skyrocketing in price overnight, it must be worthless. We are told that everything is fine, that markets are stable, and that the old ways of preserving wealth are relics of the past. But right now, beneath the surface of this noise, something profound is happening. Silver, a metal that has served as money for thousands of years and is now the lifeblood of modern technology, is flashing a warning. It is a warning that does not scream, it whispers. And as history has taught us time and time again, real wealth doesn't scream. It moves quietly, unnoticed, while the crowd chases the noise. Today, we are going to dissect this phenomenon. We are going to look past the deception of price charts and short-term volatility to understand the deep structural imbalance that is building in the silver market. We will explore why this moment is not just about a financial trade, but about a philosophical shift in how we approach value, time, and discipline. Let's start by addressing the paradox we see right now, a situation that can best be described as a deceptive calm. To the casual observer, silver looks dead. It appears slow, frustrating, and archaic. When you look at the daily price movements, or lack thereof, it is easy to dismiss it as dead money. This is the current market paradox. We are conditioned to believe that movement equals progress. When we see tech stocks rallying or cryptocurrencies doubling in a week, our brains release dopamine. We feel the excitement of the chase. In contrast, silver sits there. It tests us. It bores us. But this boredom is a deception. The lack of headlines and the absence of panic among the masses create a false sense of stagnation. What most people fail to realize is that the smart phase of any major bull market happens in the dark. It happens when the asset is hated, ignored, or simply forgotten. This is the phase where the strongest investors, the ones who build dynastic wealth, do their work. They are not waiting for confirmation from CNBC or a viral tweet. They are positioning themselves while the world is distracted. I remember realizing early on that true wealth accumulation is a quiet process. It is not flashy. It doesn't seek validation. While everyone else is running toward the noise, trying to catch the tail end of a hype cycle, the disciplined investor is walking in the opposite direction, toward the silence. Silver is currently in that silent zone. It is uncomfortable to hold something that no one else is talking about. It feels isolating. But that discomfort is the price of admission. The whisper of real wealth is telling us that the fundamentals are tightening, that the supply is draining, and that the apathy of the crowd is actually a gift. By the time silver becomes exciting again, by the time your taxi driver and your neighbor are asking you how to buy it, the opportunity will be gone. The easy money will have been made by those who are willing to endure the silence. Now, let us strip away the sentiment and look at the irrefutable fundamental case built on scarcity and necessity. Silver occupies a unique position in the hierarchy of assets because it sits at the intersection of survival and progress. It is a monetary metal, a store of value that has survived the collapse of every fiat currency in history. But it is also an industrial miracle, a technological necessity without which the modern world cannot function. We are witnessing a relentless, inelastic demand from the industrial sector. This is not demand that asks for permission. A factory producing solar panels does not check the spot price of silver and decide to wait for a dip. It buys because it has to. Silver is the most conductive metal on Earth. You cannot build an efficient solar panel without it. You cannot build a reliable electric vehicle without it. It is in the microchips that run our data centers, the switches that control our power grids, and the medical equipment that saves lives. Consider the Green Revolution. Governments around the world are mandating a shift to renewable energy. This is not a suggestion, it is policy. This shift requires massive amounts of silver. Photovoltaic cells or solar panels are consuming silver at a rate that was unimaginable 2 decades ago. The electric vehicle industry is expanding exponentially, and every EV uses significantly more silver than a traditional combustion engine car. We are building an electrified future that is chemically dependent on a metal we are running out of. This brings us to the supply deficit. While demand is exploding, supply is struggling. You cannot just flip a switch and produce more silver. Mines take years, sometimes decades, to come online. Ore grades are falling. We are having to dig deeper and move more earth to get the same amount of metal. For the past several years, the world has consumed more silver than it has produced. We are filling that gap by draining above-ground inventories. Think of it like water behind a dam. The industrial consumption is the river flowing in, and the mining supply is the release valve. Right now, the river is raging and the valve is clogged. Pressure is building. It is invisible to those who only look at the surface, but the structural integrity of the market is being tested. This is a mathematical certainty, not a conspiracy theory. When you consume an asset faster than you replace it, eventually the price must adjust to reality. It is the inevitability of revaluation. The price of silver today reflects the sentiment of paper traders, but the value of silver reflects the reality of physical scarcity. Eventually, reality always wins. Before we move on to the psychology behind this, I want to pause and hear from you. Do you believe this industrial demand is enough to break the manipulation in the market? Or do you think the price suppression will continue for years to come? Let me know your honest thoughts in the comments below, because this debate is crucial to understanding our timeline. However, understanding the data is only half the battle. The real challenge lies in the psychology of the investor in prioritizing mindset over market noise. If the fundamentals are so obvious, why isn't everyone buying silver? The answer lies in psychology. The greatest barrier to wealth in silver is not a lack of information, it is a lack of character. The market has a mechanism for shaking out the unworthy, and that mechanism is boredom. Boredom is the filter. It is the training ground where investors are made or broken. Most people treat investing like entertainment. They want action. They want to check their phone and see green numbers. When silver goes sideways for months or years, they feel like they are failing. They see other assets moving and they feel the sting of opportunity cost. They sell their silver to chase the latest hot trend, usually right at the top. This is where the concept of discipline comes in. Silver is discipline in physical form. Holding it requires you to delay gratification. It requires you to trust your thesis more than your emotions. It is a parallel to every other meaningful achievement in life. You don't get a strong body by going to the gym once for 12 hours. You get it by going for 45 minutes every day for years, even when you don't see immediate changes in the mirror. You don't build a successful business by chasing every new fad. You build it by consistently delivering value even when growth is slow. Silver investors are playing a different game. They're not looking for a quick flip. They're looking for stability. One investor I know, a man who built substantial wealth quietly, told me that he viewed his monthly silver purchase not as a trade, but as a savings account that couldn't be debased. He ignored the price. If it was up, he bought. If it was down, he bought more. He removed emotion from the equation. He understood that success comes from consistency, not intensity. We must also talk about resilience against social pressure. It is hard to be the only one in your circle doing something. When your friends are bragging about their gains in the latest meme stock, and you're holding a medal that hasn't moved, you feel foolish. You question yourself, am I wrong? Is silver truly outdated? This is the herd mentality trying to pull you back in. But remember, the herd is usually wrong at the turning points. The herd buys at the top and sells at the bottom. To win, you must be willing to act without applause. You must be willing to be misunderstood. As we strengthen our mindset, we must also learn the art of navigating uncertainty and volatility when the silence finally breaks. When the silence finally breaks and silver begins to move, it often brings volatility. And volatility is perhaps even harder to manage than boredom. When the price drops sharply, the brain screams, danger. We are wired to seek safety. We want to stop the pain of seeing our portfolio value decrease. This is the emotional trap. Panic disguises itself as prudence. You tell yourself, I'll just sell now to protect what I have, and I'll buy back lower. But you rarely do. You sell, the price reverses, and you are left behind. We need to reframe volatility. Volatility is not failure, it is pressure. And pressure reveals truth. It reveals whether you are holding this asset with conviction or with desperation. If you bought silver because you heard a hype-filled prediction that it would hit $100 next Tuesday, a 10% drop will shake you out. But if you bought it because you understand the supply deficits and the green energy mandates, a 10% drop is just information. It is an opportunity. The correct response to a downturn is not to ask, how much money did I lose? But to ask, has the fundamental thesis changed? Has the solar industry stopped using silver? Have miners suddenly found a mountain of pure silver sitting on the surface? Is the Federal Reserve shrinking the money supply and restoring the value of the dollar? If the answer is no, then the price drop is noise. It is a sale. We must also consider the cost of inaction. It is easy to sit on the sidelines and say, I'll wait until things are clearer. But clarity comes at a premium. By the time the future is clear, the price is higher. We often ask ourselves, what if I invest and I'm wrong? But the more dangerous question is, what if I do nothing? Doing nothing has a cost. Inflation is a cost. Currency debasement is a cost. Regret is a cost. Silver does not eliminate risk, nothing does, but it shifts the risk. It moves you away from the risks of a fragile debt-based fiat system and into the risks of a tangible, scarce commodity. I would rather hold the risk of a volatile asset that has intrinsic value than the certainty of a currency that is guaranteed to lose purchasing power over time. So, how do we translate this philosophy into action? We move from reaction to preparation by building a solid strategic foundation. The first step is to build a system that overrides your emotions. You cannot rely on your willpower in the heat of the moment. You need rules. You need a strategy that is decided when you are calm so that you can execute it when the market is chaotic. This starts with position sizing. You must hold enough silver to make a difference in your life, but not so much that you cannot sleep at night. If you are checking the price every hour, your position is too big for your emotional tolerance. You are over-leveraged, not financially, but psychologically. You need to find that sleep well amount. The action plan is simple: regular accumulation. Don't try to time the absolute bottom. You will miss it. Instead, buy when it is boring. Make it a habit. Treat it like a bill you pay to your future self. Every month, convert a portion of your fake money, or fiat currency, into real money, which is silver. Prioritize secure storage. If you don't hold it, you don't own it. The whole point of silver is to reduce counterparty risk. If you hold it in an unallocated pool or a paper contract, you are defeating the purpose. You want tangible possession, or at least allocated storage in a jurisdiction outside of the banking system. And perhaps the most important strategy: stop checking the price, or at least stop checking it with the intent to react. Check your discipline instead. Ask yourself, did I stick to my plan this month? Did I let fear dictate my actions? We must also zoom out to confront the macro reality, understanding the illusion of paper wealth versus the necessity of physical truth. We are living through one of the most distorted financial periods in human history, often referred to as the everything bubble. Real estate, stocks, and bonds have all been inflated by a flood of cheap currency and artificial liquidity. This creates a dangerous illusion of prosperity. You might look at your retirement account or your home value and feel richer than you were 10 years ago. But this is the money illusion. The numbers have gone up, but has your purchasing power truly increased? Or has the measuring stick, the currency itself, simply shrunk? In this environment of illusion, silver plays a critical role as the truth teller. It is the antidote to the complexity and fragility of the modern financial system. Consider the concept of counterparty risk. Almost every asset people hold today relies on someone else fulfilling a promise. Your bank balance relies on the bank's solvency. Your stocks rely on the brokerage and the underlying company. Your bonds rely on the government's ability to tax future generations. These are all liabilities of another party. If the chain breaks, if the bank fails, the brokerage freezes, or the currency collapses, that wealth evaporates. It was never truly yours. It was just a claim on value. Physical silver is different. It is the only financial asset that is not someone else's liability. When you hold it, you own it. Period. It does not require a board of directors, a bank manager, or a government decree to give it value. It has intrinsic worth recognized globally for thousands of years. In a world where financial systems are becoming increasingly digitized, centralized, and surveilled, holding a physical asset that exists outside of the electronic grid is not just an investment strategy. It is an act of sovereignty. This distinction becomes paramount when we look at the inevitable end of the current debt cycle. History shows us that when debt levels become mathematically unpayable, nations have only two choices: default honestly or default dishonestly through inflation. Politics dictates that they will almost always choose inflation. They will print the difference. As they do, the wealth stored in paper assets, bonds, savings accounts, and even stocks to a degree is quietly transferred to holders of real assets. This is the great leveling. We are already seeing this wealth transfer begin, but it is subtle. It manifests as the cost of living rising faster than wages. It manifests as the middle class shrinking. Those who hold their wealth in fiat currency are being slowly bled dry by negative real interest rates. They are losing purchasing power every single day they do not act. Conversely, those who hold silver are stepping out of the burning building. They are not necessarily looking to make money in the traditional sense. They are looking to save their labor and time from being inflated away. Think of silver not as a lottery ticket, but as a lifeboat. When the Titanic is sinking, you don't care about the price of the lifeboat. You care about its availability. Right now, the financial waters are calm, and the band is still playing. The lifeboats, silver and gold, are being ignored. They are considered deadweight. But the structural leaks in the hull, the debt, the deficits, the derivatives, are undeniable. When the panic eventually sets in, the stampede for the lifeboats will be chaotic. The premium you pay to acquire silver today is the cost of securing your seat before the alarm sounds. Furthermore, we must address the tangibility gap. We are moving rapidly toward a completely digital existence. Digital currency, digital art, digital real estate. While there is value in technology, there is a deep, primal human need for the tangible. As the world becomes more virtual, the premium on what is real will skyrocket. You cannot hack a silver coin. You cannot delete it with a keystroke. You cannot freeze it with a sanction. It offers a permanence that digital zeros and ones simply cannot match. This psychological comfort, the ability to hold your wealth in your hand, will become a highly coveted luxury in an increasingly unstable digital world. Therefore, when you buy silver, you are doing more than speculating on a commodity. You are shorting the illusion and going long on reality. You are betting that eventually the laws of economics will override the whims of central bankers. You are positioning yourself on the right side of the largest wealth transfer in history, a transfer from those who trust in paper promises to those who trust in physical truth. Ultimately, this journey leads us to a single, powerful goal. Friends, investing in silver is about more than just numbers on a screen. It is a vote. It is a vote for independence. It is a declaration that you do not trust a system built on debt and printing presses to secure your future. You are taking responsibility into your own hands. Silver acts as a mirror. It reflects how you think about time. It reflects your ability to control your impulses. It reflects your character. The end result of this journey is not just financial wealth, though that is the likely outcome of holding a scarce asset in a high-demand world. The real result is breathing room. It is the ability to weather economic storms without the desperation that plagues the unprepared. It is the freedom to make choices based on what is right, not just what is affordable. If this message has helped you see through the noise and given you clarity on why you hold silver, please do me a favor. Like this video and subscribe to the channel. It helps us find more people who are ready to wake up and take control of their financial future. One day the silence will end. The headlines will scream. The crowd will rush in. And when that day comes, you will not be joining them in the panic. You will be standing calmly, holding the position you built during the quiet years, watching the thesis you understood long ago finally play out. But for now, while the world ignores it, while the price is boring, and while the warning is still a whisper, we accumulate, we wait, and we build. Thank you.